All right, viewers, welcome to episode 3 of the Bronco Country Roundup. Hope you're all doing well, and thank you for watching the previous two. My name's Evan Sanford, and today I am joined by Carter Davis, Chris Van Sickle, and we are introducing a new member of the Roundup, Chase Floorfield. So welcome, Chase. Now, our usual regular, our fearless leader, Kevin Hyatt, is stuck in the line of Panda Express and cannot make it to the podcast this week. I can't say that. I can't say that with a straight face, but that is the honest truth. He is in the line at Panda Express right now. So, anyways, Chase, do you want to tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, and then we'll kick things off?
Sure. First of all, there are worse places to be caught than in the drive-through line at Panda Express. But yeah, I've been riding for Bronco Country for it's been 10 years now, just over 10 years. Before that, I was the newspaper writer at the Idaho State Journal in Pocatello. I was the sports editor. I was the Idaho State football beat writer for a while. I still do some freelance stuff for the Times News in Twin Falls, which is where I live now. But full time, I'm actually a high school English, Spanish, and journalism teacher in
Ooh,
Kimberly. That's what I
I
do
love it.
here. And got a son who's going to be playing some high school football this year. He's a freshman, so looking forward to that and looking forward to being here with you guys. So thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, actually, do you ever get to go out and see a little Idaho State football? Like, what do they call them? The younger Hawk or Little Hawk
Oh
coach
yeah,
out there?
and they actually just hired Dan Hawkins too. He's
Oh,
there as
yeah.
an analyst or some sort of quality control assistant. You go out there every now and then. They still play some high school football games at the Dome there in Pocatello,
Okay.
and so every now and then, it's college football. You take what you can get when you can get it, and enjoy it.
Well, off the top of your head, what do you think their record will be this year in the Big Sky?
Big Sky or overall?
Ooh, give me both.
Ooh, Big Sky. I could see them just above 500. Maybe 5-3 ish. Big Sky. Overall, going to be around 500 as well.
Okay.
Um, 7-5, 6-6. Just depends. Like, always got the body bag game, but
Yeah.
I think Baby Hawk, whatever we want to call him, he's doing some good things over there, and it's kind of a hard place for football. So
Oh,
Chuck.
and who's this?
this
A
is
Chuck.
Otto. Otto, can you say hi? Hey. All right, buddy.
This is my
It's my
We
2-year-old.
we already have our
adorable.
first guest interview.
I
All
guess, yeah.
right. Sweet. I'm sorry, I didn't catch his name.
His name's Otto.
Otto. So Otto
Yep.
gets to be our first guest
He
on
was
the
our
Bronco
first.
Country Roundup.
Yeah.
Let's go. He needs a Bronco onesie.
He does have a few Bronco things, so that's for sure.
All right. Well, today on the Roundup, we are covering some recruiting news. We got a nice quarterback commitment. We'll get to that in a second. Sights and sounds will come back maybe next week. We do not have any updates as of right now. Haven't been able to make it down to camp, but more sights and sounds from camp will be coming. So stay tuned for that. So back to recruiting, we had a nice big commitment. Quarterback Jackson Presley committed to Boise State out of Kalispell, Montana. He had 12 offers. And now, just let me say that again. He's from the class of 2026. So he is a junior in high school right now. He's not going to be at Boise State next year. He's going to be here there the following year. So he's got some time, got some football ahead of him, and he's already ranked number 31 or the number 31 quarterback in his class. He had, like I said, offers from 12 schools. He narrowed it down to 3: Oklahoma State, Arkansas, and Boise State. And he picked us. And one of the reasons he was highlighting was his relationship with Spencer Danielson. So they are just knocking it out of the park in the recruiting, and just can't say enough about the job that Danielson has done with the recruiting at Boise State. That's just awesome. So Carter, what can we expect? Not in the near future, but maybe in the distant future from Jackson Presley.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot to expect from this kid. He's already, I know a lot of people don't care about stars, but when you have a guy coming off of his sophomore season, 3-star, 87 overall for 24/7 Sports, I mean, you know that he's good. I mean, he's trained with some professional quarterback trainers. From what I've read, he just has a wickedly strong arm. He's also super football smart, seems to really play into the team, really get the ball all over the place. He's not going to be a Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield, roll out of the pocket and try to do his own thing. He's really going to stick within the system and really just be a strong, strong presence for the offense. And honestly, I'm super surprised we got this kid because I don't know if you guys know this. His dad, Brian Presley, played for Arkansas.
Oh, no
And
kidding.
yeah, played for Arkansas, walked on for Arkansas, I believe back in the 90s. And so I talked to Kevin about this kid a while ago, and I was just like, I don't know if we're gonna get him. And even Kevin was like, he's pretty hard lean towards Arkansas just because of his dad. So I think that's just a testament to Spencer Danielson to not only beat out Oklahoma State, Big 12, constantly good, constantly pumping out good QBs, also beat out an SEC legacy school. So that's just a testament to Danielson to really his ability to get kids to see the big picture. And like I said, coming off the sophomore season, he's only going to get better. So everything we see now, it's not even close to his peak. He has his junior season to go through, and the senior season is when you'll really see the player he is now. So, or the player he is then. So now he's good. Then he's easily a 4-star kid. So this is just a home run out of the ballpark type of commitment.
I love that you mentioned the Arkansas connection. I did not know that, but it goes. I mean, Spencer Danielson has mentioned in interviews like you don't just recruit the kid, you recruit the family. He gets to know people, and so you're not you're not just recruiting a player. You have to win over the parents and all that. And if they have that strong of a connection to Arkansas and to still get that commitment, he not just roll out the red carpet, but they must be like have that real genuine connection. And which I mean, that's something that we keep hearing from players in interviews. And I mean, Danielson just officiated a wedding, all that stuff. So we're just seeing more and more evidence that Spencer Danielson is just a good, genuine human, which I love. Makes it easy to root for him. So that's really
Absolutely.
nice.
Absolutely. I mean, I do want to go a little bit off script here because something I read about Jackson Presley is that he's very religious, very, very
Oh,
Christian household, and I think that's another connection here. And at Danielson just baptized Ashton Genty too. So if we're ever concerned about Danielson, being a fake or not being who he says he is, name another head coach that has baptized a player. Name another head coach that has married a player. Name another head coach that constantly gets
officiated a
commitments.
wedding for a player.
Officiating a wedding. Like who's doing this? What did I say?
I think his wife might have something to say there.
What did I say?
Has married another player.
Oh my God.
That's some kind of recruiting violation. It's got to be.
There has to be.
Has to be.
NIL has gotten ridiculously out of hand. I'm so sorry. Going off script causes problems.
Yeah.
He officiated a wedding for another player. So Danielson
We'll start
lives
getting
it.
some NIL deals with some jewelers or something.
God, that's so embarrassing. Anyways, we're moving past it. Danielson is the real deal, and I think that real deal is a big reason why we got this kid also.
Heck yeah. Well, there is a new kind of trend, at least it's not just at Boise State, but we're seeing kids getting recruited earlier and earlier. And so, I mean, as we've kind of already highlighted, Jackson Presley is a 26 kid. So Chase, what are your thoughts on like this new trend in recruiting kids earlier and earlier? Like, I mean, heck, there was that one kid I think who had like a college offer in like 8th grade or something. Like, I think I saw
Dylan Moses from Alabama. I remember. I don't know if you guys remember him.
there it is. Yeah. So
Alabama.
what's the deal?
Well, number one, like getting a quarterback early, regardless of the year, is always a good thing, right? Once the quarterback falls into place for a recruiting class, you tend to see other people kind of come into the boat. Hey, I want to play with that guy. I want to be catching passes from him, et cetera, et cetera. And if you think back a few weeks ago when Boise State lost out on, I'm going to slaughter his name, the Hawaiian quarterback, Jaron.
Oh,
You guys know who I'm talking about, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I think just the first name's good. We don't need to
Jaron, we know
sit
who
here
we're
and try
talking
to
about, right?
do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Phenomenal quarterback, commits to Cal. And that was really Boise State the coaches had their eggs in that basket for the class of 25, right? And you lose out on him. It is what it is. There's some other offers out that have come out over the last few months. But then you can go all in on a guy for the class of 26. And then he commits, Jackson Presley commits, and it just gets this momentum kind of coming back into Boise State, which I think you'll see it reap some rewards here with the class of 25, even though he's a class of 26 kid. You get in early on these guys, you get that commitment, that relationship is established, and you can continue to build and establish and strengthen that relationship while it also pays dividends on the recruiting trail for the next one or two classes.
So really, you think like maybe some like 25, I don't know, wide receivers or even some offensive linemen might see that and be like, okay, like a future teammate right there. Like that could be my group, that could be our squad, and maybe kind of take a look at that and take a second look at Boise State because of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is kind of goes hand in hand with what Karter was talking about a minute ago, is that these coaches like Danielson, he doesn't just recruit the player. Mike Kramer, the former Idaho State head football coach, told me that he has to recruit the parents as much or more than the players themselves, right? If you're sitting in the living room talking to a kid and his mom and dad are there, and they believe and understand that you're going to take care of their kid and the kind of person or the kind of environment they're letting their kid go into with you, you're recruiting the family, not just the player. And so Danielson's been able to do that, and this is pretty early commitment. I mean, I'm sure there's been some earlier ones, but that relationship and that has been established, I think, went a long way for him and Jackson.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I'll be looking forward to seeing if this really does pay some dividends, and maybe we get a 5-star wide receiver or something like that. That'd be cool. Fingers crossed. All right. Well, Chris, I believe you had some recruiting updates on AJ Jones and Cooper Helmke. So you want to fill us in on that?
Yeah, I met with both of these, or interviewed both these young men this past week, and I really enjoyed both interviews. They're both great kids. I'll start out with AJ Jones.
Now, real quick, not to interrupt you or anything, but these guys are already committed to Boise State in the 25 class, right?
Correct. Yes, they're both committed.
Okay. No, sorry, go ahead.
You're good. Yeah, AJ Jones is a 6'2", 180-pound wide receiver out of Vista Murrieta, California. If that high school sounds familiar, it should. That's where Khalil Shakir came from. And AJ made sure to mention that was a factor in his decision. So thank you again, Khalil, paying off even more.
I'll be drafting him in my fantasy league this year.
That's a good pick right there. I like that. This kid is very talented, super fast. He told me he runs a 10-8 100-meter dash. I think that's a lot faster than I could do. So he's beating me, but it's pretty darn fast. I like to ask them what their goals are and what they want to improve on going into their senior season. He wants to improve on his yards after catch. His goals are 1,000 yards receiving, 10 touchdowns. He just does everything. He loves the ball in his hands. He returns punts, kicks. I asked him if you'd rather return a punt for a touchdown or have a catch in the corner of the end zone for a touchdown. And he says he likes the punts because he can hear the crowd slowly getting more excited. And I could not agree more. That's pretty awesome. So super excited for this kid. He had an interesting route to Boise State. He met Matt Miller at their school's just showcase. They invited schools in to come check out their recruits. He met Matt Miller there. Matt Miller was impressed, invited him to a larger camp at the Camp of the Redlands, and that's where they offered him. I asked him, who were your final three? And he said it didn't even get that far. He just knew he wanted to be a Bronco. So really excited about him. And then we got to give some love to the kickers. We got one of the best ones in the nation right now. And this kid I'm going to talk about, I think, could be just as good. I know that's high expectations, Cooper. I'm sorry. Cooper Helmke, 6'3", 180 pounds. He's from New Orleans, born and raised in Louisiana. He's coming all the way over here. He did tell me that he's kind of followed Boise State since he was 7 or 8 years old. Loved the blue turf. So there's connection there. He was originally a soccer player, as goes a lot of times with kickers. His little high school, which he says is tiny, needed a kicker, and he gave it a shot. It took right to it. After his sophomore season, hit up a couple camps, ended up running into Tyler Rousa, and kind of hit it off. Got the preferred walk-on offer after winning the MVP kickoff competition and punting competition at the Boise State Specialist Camp. So he had a pretty good day. And just a really smart kid. Could have talked to that kid all day about kicking. Knows what he's doing. Tells me he's confident he can make it from 60 consistently. And that sounded good to me. He did it. He said he made it from 70, but it may have been wind dated. I don't know, but hey, I'll give it to him. He says his goals are a 90% touchback rate this season and 100% point after attempts. And I believe he can do it. So, yeah, super excited about him. He had a couple workouts for LSU, Indiana, and Tulane. None of them gave him an offer at that point. That may have come later, but Boise State definitely got his commit. So
excellent. Well, I can't wait to look out for those names in the future. Now, real quick, before we move on to our main kind of segment covering the defensive line, I do have a question for each one of you and viewers. Actually, you can participate in this and maybe drop a comment of your choice. But what would you rather do? Catch a pass in the end zone for a touchdown or kick return for a touchdown? You guys
I'd
got
like to just get an overall touchdown. I've never have scored a touchdown at all, so all the above. But I guess I like the idea of the roar of the crowd type of thing. So definitely kick return is good. But adding context to it, if it's a deep ball for a touchdown to win the game, that's just as cool. But I think generic is probably kick return.
Okay. Chase, what do you think?
I think a touchdown and just thrown to me in the end zone, but I want to break a DB's ankles on the route first.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
All right, Chris.
If you can promise me I'm not going to pull my hamstring doing it, I will take the kickoff for sure.
Well, having never played a down of organized football in my life, I think I want to beat a DB. I want to go get a jump ball in the end zone and beat a DB. Being vertically challenged as I am, that sounds like an absolute thrill. But viewers, let us know in the comments, what would you rather do? Return a kick or punt for a touchdown, or go burn a DB on a deep ball, or even just catch a little slant for a touchdown? Like, what would you rather do? All right, but moving on, defensive line. This is going to be a strong unit for Boise State this year. I can't wait to watch them play, but we can't talk defensive line without talking about the captain, number 91, Ahmed Hassanin. He's from Egypt, born in Cairo. As I already said, he's a team captain. He's named to the Bednarik, I hope I said that right, award watch list. Also the Bronco Nagurski watch list for the best defensive player of the season. He was voted all Mountain West first team preseason. Last year, he had 12 and a half sacks. That was good for 6th in the country. 16 and a half tackles for loss, good for 19th in the country. And then a fun fact, I pulled this straight from the Boise State website, is that he tallied at least half a sack in 9 consecutive games. That tied the longest streak since 2015. So he had quite a good season last year. Now, guys, what do you think we can expect from the captain of the defensive line, what the team captains this year, the anchor, the linchpin of that defense, Ahmed Hassanin? Carter, what do you think we can expect from him this year?
You know what? I think we can expect more from him than what we got last season because if you think about last season, Ahmed Hassanin was the defensive line. There really was no constant pressure. It was really all on him to do the sacks, to do the tackles for loss. And if somebody else did it, hey, good for them. But I think we can expect more. And the reason I say that is because I think Spencer Danielson has done an amazing job going out and getting pass rushers because the pass rushers that I see that he's gotten was Tavion Woodard from Ball State, which came over with the coach, Joseph Marsh, which we talked about in previous episodes, being one of the highest ranked JUCO players to commit, and what was his this is embarrassing. I'm having an embarrassing podcast today. Roman Kaywood. I've heard a lot about him. I've seen some stuff here and there about him, I believe. And so there's a lot of help coming for Hassanin this year. It's not going to be all on him. There are people there that I believe can take the focus away directly from him. And by taking the focus away, he's able to play without so much hindrance, without so much double teams. Now, I think
Well,
he'll
even
still
if they
be
do double team, that opens up opportunity for quality defensive end play on the other side to then
exactly
generate a pass rush.
exactly.
So pick your poison. Are you going to double team Hassanin and then have Kaywood or Woodard like just pin your quarterback to the turf? Or are you going to try and go one-on-one?
Exactly. But I think just taking a little bit of focus off of him, he'll be able to rise to even higher heights. I'm not sure about draft projections or anything like that. I haven't seen anything like that, but I definitely think we can expect more because it's not going to be all on him anymore.
All right. How about Chase? Anything to throw on top of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually talked to Ahmed his senior year down in Anaheim. He played for his brother, so I ended up coming over to the United States. He told me he wanted to be the Egyptian Aaron Donald when I talked to him. Was it 4 years ago, however long ago it was? And I was like, I also want that. That would be awesome. And then a couple weeks ago, former Boise State player Alex Guerrero was in Twin Falls with his Gridiron Dreams camp, and he brought a few current Boise State players as coaches. And my son is going to be a freshman. He went to this camp. He's DN, so he got to work with Ahmed a little bit there. And I met him and chatted with him for a second. And there's only one other Boise State player I've seen who's bigger than he is, and that was Ryan Clady, who looked like a refrigerator with a head. Ahmed, I mean, his biceps, he was massive. I'm like, this guy, yeah, he's left tackles or right tackles, wherever they line up, they're gonna have their hands full with him, the Egyptian Aaron Donald.
I love that, and I do feel like we need a better nickname for him. I've seen that like people trying stuff out on Twitter and whatnot. So that's another challenge to our viewers. Like we need a good nickname for Ahmed Hassanin. But anyways, Chris, anything to throw on top of that?
Yeah, I mean, he was super impressive last year. Like Chase said, he's just getting bigger and stronger. I know when he came over, he was ranked nationally as a CrossFit contributor. Are they players? I don't know, but he's just got that natural talent. I'm really excited to see what he can do. I like what you said. They're gonna have to pick their poison, double team him, or let the other side have a better shot. And I think that kind of leads into what you're gonna say next, Evan.
So next we're gonna profile the rest of the defensive line, but that's going to be an absolute nightmare for opposing offensive lines because there's an embarrassment of riches on this defensive line. And so starting with, at nose tackle, you've got number 98, Herbert Gums. At defensive tackle, number 90, Braxton Feely. And then at edge, the edge position, which is kind of that hybrid where they like to have them kind of stand up and back or even line up on the line. Number 5, and I believe that's a number change, is Jaden Virgin, and he's now going by Jaden Virgin Morgan. So the same guy, just added a hyphen to his last name. But number 5, Jaden Virgin Morgan at edge. And then some other guys that we are absolutely going to see, whether it's a different formation or just rotation, or even maybe they come in like to start. Like we don't know the full depth chart after camp just yet, but we got Tyler Wegas, who is slated behind Ahmed Hassanin at defensive end. He came to us from Utah, I believe. He transferred in last year, am I right, or is it 2 years ago?
I believe it was last year.
Yeah, last year was his first year.
Yeah. Okay. And then Sheldon Newton at nose tackle, Michael Callahan at defensive tackle, and then we already mentioned Tavian Woodard came to us from Ball State, followed Tyler Stockton when he got hired here as the I believe safeties coach. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, he was the defensive coordinator, and he took I would say a downgrade position for an upgraded program. So definitely, but he came over for the. I mean, yeah, Ball State. I'm not really sure what they're doing over there, but they're in the MAC, so I mean, I get it. But definitely not a defensive coordinator, but a pay upgrade, and he brought Woodard with him.
Yep, pay upgrade and program upgrade. But yeah, it's just kind of a weird segue, I guess. But like, hey, we're happy he's here. And then some other names. Carter already mentioned Joseph March. We've talked about him on the podcast before. Fun fact: his brother Cassius won a Super Bowl, I believe, with the Patriots. So that's a little fun fact about Cassius March. And I'm trying to recall, but that Super Bowl might have been the one that my Seahawks lost to the Patriots.
Womp womp.
Yeah, womp womp womp. But don't fact check me on that because there's a good chance I'm wrong. Then we also got Max Stieg, or is that how you pronounce that?
Yes, Max Stieg, I believe.
Stieg. He's the defensive end, came to us out of Germany. And then Lopez Sanusi came to us out of Dublin, Ireland. And then, of course, Roman Kaywood, who is a part of the most recent recruiting class. I don't know about you guys. Actually, well, Carter, you mentioned it, but he has been lighting it up at camp, and I've been like seeing the local press guys talking about him a whole bunch. Would not be surprised to see him like get in as a true freshman playing on that line.
For sure.
But what do you guys think? So who's going to be the guy to really go on be opposite of Ahmed Hassanin and generate a pass rush? Who do you think it is? Is it going to be like a rotation, or who do you think is like the name we're going to hear the most?
You know, a name that I think could definitely pop up is Sheldon Newton. And there's a reason for that, and that's because Danielson just gave him the number 9. Now, I'm sure Chris knows, as I know, any defensive lineman that has a single-digit number is an animal. That's just how.
Oh wait,
yeah,
it's
so
earned.
That's an update for me. I had him at number 94. So that's.
There was a recent video that Boise State just released where he talked about how when he came in from Northern Arizona, he wanted number 9, and Danielson said you had to earn it because, as I said, Chris and I know D linemen, especially an interior D lineman who have a single-digit number, are animals. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of a rite of passage. You have to earn that number. And from what he said in this video, he worked his tail off in the weight room. He's now able to do like 20 reps of decks to where he could only do like 2 when he first got here. I think he's put in real work. And I think it might be silly, but a change of a jersey number for a D lineman like that is a huge deal. So I think Gums is going to be good, but it would not surprise me if Sheldon Newton has a breakout year because that is a huge, huge accomplishment by him for Danielson to allow him to change that number.
See, I didn't even know that. That's awesome. And but Herbert Gums, as nose tackle, he's more of a kind of run stopper anyway, right? He's just plug that hole and then just eat the running back for breakfast.
Yeah.
Gums is a big man. Those big guys in the middle, they just muck things up. That's the whole point because then you let the linebackers come in and clean things up. And so having Sheldon Newton break out like that, as Carter's suggesting, I think it'd be good if he can get some sack numbers in there. From that position, not even an edge position, that really could open things up for Hassanin, I think.
So then, would you see Sheldon Newton be as the starter more or less for his position? I believe is listed as nose tackle. So he might. Well, I mean, depending on formation or whatnot, he might
1A and 1B, right? You have two guys that could probably start, and
or if Feely comes off, Newton could come in. Like I truly think if he's not starting, he's the next man up. Because, like I said, that's a big deal. And so I think it's impressive that he did it. He could just be next man up for those interior positions.
Well, and you have these guys. You have a lot of guys, kind of a wealth, embarrassment of wealth, I think is what you were saying a bit ago, Evan. But if you can get some funky formations where maybe you have two or three of these big beefy boys out there on the inside and doing some funky things, and having a Andrew Simpson or someone come off the edge and just give different looks to these offenses, that could open things up for Ahmed, for really anyone. Do some exotic things with your defense.
Weirdly enough, you guys are actually getting me really hyped to see what a goal line stand would look like with this defensive line. I'd be curious. So that's something I'm looking forward to, and also not looking forward to against Georgia Southern.
Yeah, let's not see it against Georgia Southern.
Yeah, let's not worry about that. We'll worry about it with Oregon and somebody else like that.
Yeah, just maybe going for safeties then against Georgia Southern.
Exactly.
All right, Chris, who do you like? Where do you see Michael Callahan actually fitting in to this defense? He's someone that for one, I'm really impressed when I see him in interviews and just watching him play. It seems like he's got a little bit of a leadership role too. Where do you see him plugging in?
Yeah, I assume that he's probably going to be that second defensive tackle behind Braxton Feely would be my guess. I just listened to the defensive coordinator Chenander talk yesterday, and he made it very clear that it's important to have two units. I mean, you have to have these guys go in and out. And when I think of the glory years of Boise State, I always remember two units of defense linemen just going in and out, and that keeps you fresh. And you got to remember, offensive linemen, they don't switch out in units; they are there the whole time. So if you have the ability to switch these guys out, and I was doing notes before the podcast, and I have 10 names down here of defensive linemen that I could see playing, and that's awesome. That's exactly what you want. Max Stieg last year, he got hurt, but he was playing as a true freshman straight from Germany. That says a lot about the kid. That's a big transition. So I think we're going to see a lot of stuff, like you guys said, different formations, sometimes bring in more bigger guys. I think Jaden Virgin Morgan, who played even a little bit of stand-up linebacker last year, he's got a lot of potential there. He came in as a 4-star guy a couple of years ago. So I love him. Like Karter said, anyone who has a single-digit number on the defensive line is a bad man. So I love seeing 5 and 9, and that's all awesome. Tavion Woodard as well, coming from Ball State. He's played a lot of ball and has been successful. So I just love the depth here.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's so awesome to be able to have that option. So it's not something that we've always had as of recently.
Well, going back to what you said about the rotational aspect of it, if I'm not mistaken, that's why we won, and in pretty convincing fashion at Florida State. They're cramping up, and we're just getting stronger. Pregame jitters, you're in the dope. They get up to a big lead, and then we just settled right in and mowed them over. So I don't after the I forget, they might have got a score to begin the second half, and then they didn't sniff the end zone for the rest of that game. We just got stronger. We rotated guys in and out. So having that depth, and now headed into Georgia Southern, which is in southern Georgia. In a town down there that is very humid, August 31st. That's going to suck.
Fun fact I just learned. August 31st, 2019, when we beat Florida State, we shut them out the second half.
There it is.
August 31st. So going down south, it's good for us in late August.
So that depth is going to come in handy big time, especially if they're going to try and run the ball a whole lot. like they're going to try and get those body blows. So having just this embarrassment of riches, I like can't wait to see it against Georgia Southern. Can't wait to see it against just the rest of the Mountain West schedule. But real quick, before we end, I'm gonna get your guys' final thoughts on the defensive line, what you can expect from this unit as a whole, and then I want to hold your feet to the fire and say, one, how many sacks does Ahmed Hassanin get this year, and then who produces the second most in that category, second most sacks this season? Who's going to be the person opposite Hassanin to really be the disruptor on that line? So Karter, what final thoughts on the line? What can our viewers expect to see from this line, I guess? Anything that you haven't said?
Nothing that I haven't said already, but I think our defensive line last year at times made the problems in the secondary seem worse than they were. Because defense really is that all has to work together at once. You need pressure, but you also need good coverage. One without the other means you're going to get scored on a lot. And so I think that was a little bit of a Achilles heel for us. When it was good, it was great. When it wasn't good, it was bad. But I think we definitely got some players now that could really get more pressure, stop the run, more pressure in the quarterback's face. So I think it'll be better. I definitely think it'll be better. As far as
do you want some time to think about that? I can go to Chase for his final thoughts if you want some time.
What are we talking about? Like the sacks?
Yeah. Do you want some time to think about it?
Oh no, I got it. I was just about to dive into it. You cut me off right before I was gonna do it.
All right. Well, my bad.
I think that he gets more sacks than Curtis Weaver did in 2019, which is 13.5. Wow. I'm going to say, and shoot for the moon a little bit, I'll say he gets 15 sacks. Wow. I truly believe that there is going to be more focus on other people, and he's going to be able to go wild. And so I'm thinking 15.
Just for clarification, who is going to get 15 sacks?
Hassanin.
Okay, so that's actually down 1.5 sacks from his last year's total. And that's with everyone double teaming him. The problems with the defensive line that you outlined. He got 16.5 last year.
God, I thought he had less.
Yeah.
Gee whiz.
I mean, do you want to change your answer?
This is a bad podcast for me. I will change my answer. Let's go. Okay. No, he had 12.5. He had 16.5 tackles for loss, Evan.
Oh, well, okay. No, that's my mistake. My
mistake. 15 sacks, 20 plus tackles for loss. Ahmed Hassanin. That's what's happening.
There we go. My mistake. I always have to have one per podcast.
Kevin's gone for one day, guys, and we just fall.
Yeah, this is falling apart. This is not good.
All right, Chase. Wait, feet to the fire. Well, actually, Karter, you forgot to mention who's going to get the second most. Who's going to be the other guy?
There's just going to be a blooper reel at this point. Let's see here. We'll go. Gets the second most. God, I'll say Braxton Feely. I think Braxton Feely will come into his own. I think he's been playing there for a while, kind of an under the radar guy. I'll say he gets the second most.
I thought you were going to go with Sheldon Newton.
I think Newton is still stuck behind some people. I think he's a rotational guy, but I could be wrong. He definitely could break out. But Feely is a more established presence right now.
All right, Chase. Any final thoughts that you haven't said yet, or jump right into the sacks?
Well, I mean, goes without saying, but keeping these guys healthy is going to be key, right? You're 1 or 2 knee injuries away from suddenly we're back to our secondary having to cover guys for 4, 5, 6 seconds, and then we see some of those same issues as last year. But I think this team is built to be able to absorb a little bit of that. Hopefully we don't see it, but I think built to absorb that. I think Ahmed is going to have, I'm going to say 14 sacks.
Okay.
And I'm going to throw a name out of left field. You mentioned him earlier, but Tyler Wiggis, I think, will get 7.5.
I would love to see that because, there was a good amount of hype when he transferred from Utah, and then didn't he spent a lot of last year hurt?
Yeah, and they kept him around so that they must see some potential, something in him. So I'm just throwing that out there. We'll see what happens.
I would love to see that. I highlighted that name like last year, like, ooh, that's a guy that I want to watch for, and then just kept seeing his name on the injury report. So I would love it if that came true. But Chris, go ahead. Who are yours?
Yeah, so I think Hassanin will get let's go 13 sacks. And
Okay.
I'm going with Jaden Virgin Morgan. I think he's going to be a really good player and be able to step in the following year for Hassanin and lead the way in sacks.
Okay. Well, so the record set by Terrell Suggs is 25 and a half sacks. So,
He lived
and
in the
actually,
backfield. That's insane. That's crazy.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
Nuts.
going, or wait, I might have that wrong. This
no.
was, no, it broke Terrell Suggs' record. Um, well, I'm failing to pull up the player's name, but someone broke 25 and a half sacks is the record per Google. So I'm saying Ahmed Hassanin gets 26 this season.
Okay.
Excellent.
We're rolling with it. I have no rationale behind that, behind purely being an absolute Boise State homer. So let's go, Ahmed. Prove me right. Get the record. And then I'm gonna go with Tavion Woodard. I loved seeing that name come in. He's got so much experience off the defensive line at Ball State. I forget how many years he was a starter there, but like coming into a system, he's got a coach that he's familiar with. He doesn't have. It's probably not going to be that much of a learning curve, and just with that talent level, that skill level, I think he's going to be a huge disrupting force on that defensive line. I'll give him 10 sacks. I think we're going to be very sack happy this year, and quarterbacks are going to be pulling turf out of their face masks. But that brings us to the end of the third episode of the Bronco Country Roundup. Viewers, thank you for tuning in, and good night, and go Broncos.